William Smallwood was an American planter, soldier and politician from Charles County, Maryland. He served in the American Revolutionary War, rising to the rank of Major General. He was serving as the fourth governor of Maryland when the state adopted the United States Constitution. Early life. Smallwood was born in 1732 to planter Bain Smallwood and Priscilla Hebbard Smallwood. He had 6 siblings: Lucy Hebbard Smallwood, Elizabeth F. Smallwood, Margaret F. Stoddart Hebbard Smallwood, Priscilla Courts, and Eleanor Smallwood. His sister Eleanor and brother Hebbard served with him later in the Revolutionary War. His parents sent the boys to England for their education at Eton. His great-grandfather was James Smallwood, who immigrated in 1664 and became a member of the Maryland Assembly in 1692. James' son Bain followed him later in the Assembly. Bain and his sister Hester were the great-great-grandchildren of Maryland Governor William Stone. Hester Smith's daughter-in-law Sarah Stone was the grandmother of James Butler Bonham and Millage Luke Bonham. A first cousin of James and Millage Bonham was Senator Matthew Butler Smallwood. Served as an officer during the French and Indian War. He was elected to the Maryland Provincial Assembly. American Revolution. When the American Revolutionary War began, he was appointed a colonel of the 1st Maryland Regiment in 1776. He led the regiment in the New York and New Jersey campaign, where the regiment served with distinction. On December 21, 1777, he commanded 1,500 Delaware and Maryland troops at the Continental Army encampment site to prevent occupation of Wilmington by the British and to protect the flour mills on the Brandywine. For his role at the Battle of White Plains, in which he was twice wounded, Smallwood was promoted to brigadier general. He continued to serve under George Washington in the Philadelphia campaign, where his regiment again distinguished itself at Germantown. Thereafter, he quartered at the Fulk House, also occupied by the family of Sally Wister. In 1780 he was a part of General Horatio Gates' army that was routed at Camden, South Carolina. His brigade was among the formations that held their ground, garnering Smallwood a promotion to Major General. Smallwood's accounts of the battle and criticisms of Gates' behavior before and during the battle may have contributed to the congressional inquiries into the debacle. Opposed to the hiring and promotion of foreigners, Smallwood objected to working under Baron von Steuben. He spent the remainder of the war in Maryland. He served as the first President General of the Maryland Society of the Cincinnati in 1783. Governor. Smallwood was elected to Congress in 1785. He was elected governor of Maryland before he could take up the congressional seat and chose the governorship. In 1787 he convened the state's convention that in 1788 adopted the United States Constitution. Late years. Smallwood never married. The 1790 census shows that he held 56 slaves and a yearly tobacco crop of £3,000. When he died in 1792, his estate, known as Matterwoman, including his home The Retreat, passed to his sister Eleanor. By one account she had married into the Stoddard family, which was related to the Smallwoods. In another account, Eleanor married Carl William Grayson of Virginia, and in 1827 the Matterwoman estate passed to Grayson's son William. His burial site is now the Smallwood State Park in Marbury, Maryland. Legacy. Local historical signs in Calvert, Maryland. Note that General Smallwood occupied the East Nottingham Friends House, at the intersections of Calvert Road and Brick Meeting House Road about 6 miles east of Rising Sun, Maryland. During his occupation of the building in 1778, Gen. Smallwood used the building as a hospital. Some of the soldiers who died in the building were buried in the graveyard directly outside. Smallwood frequented the Cross Keys Inn, at the time a several-room inn and bar. This building stands as a private residence at the intersection of Calvert Road and Cross Keys Road directly down the hill. His restored plantation home, Smallwood's Retreat, is located at Smallwood State Park. Smallwood Church Road leads from the state park toward Old Durham Church, where he was a vestryman. Several paintings exist of Smallwood. One hangs in the old Senate chamber in the Maryland State House in Annapolis, Maryland. The portrait of George Washington resigning within the Maryland State House, which hangs in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, features Smallwood. Featured in the Maryland Historical Society is the William Smallwood Collection, 1776 to 1791, Ms. 1875. Smallwood's name was honored in places and organizations. The Baltimore chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution is called the General William Smallwood Chapter. The General Smallwood Middle School in Indian Head is another namesake. In Anne Arundel County, Maryland, a coastal fortification developed in the late 1890s was named Fort Smallwood was named in his honor, and the location is now known as Fort Smallwood Park. The road running from Fort Smallwood Park through Pasadena, Maryland and into Baltimore City is named Fort Smallwood Road.